It's unreal, to know that you can lose $40,000 that quick. When I came to Atlanta, I started renting cars from Ed here in Atlanta, and the experiences were something you couldn't explain besides just being in the car. After a while from renting, I decided I wanted to be an owner. So started hanging out a little bit more around Ed and then going to the dealership a little bit and learning about the vehicles. Eventually found an opportunity to purchase a vehicle through a third-party individual. Introduced to somebody who was doing lease takeovers, and I told him I had an interest. He said for $40,000 I could take over a lease on a Lamborghini. Paid him the money, and within a few days the vehicle was delivered to me. Great car. It was a 2008 orange Lamborghini Gallardo coupe. After a few weeks, actually probably been about a month and a half, I decided that I wanted to possibly have the car rented out to kind of supplement the income of the cost of the payment. So originally I was trying to purchase a Gallardo, but there was a gentleman that had dumped a bunch of vehicles into the market, and you couldn't really tell what the price of the car was going to be. So I felt like leasing a vehicle was going to be my safest bet. So when I first got the car and I decided I wanted to lease the vehicle out, maybe do daily rentals, kind of like what Ed was doing, I called Ed up and asked him if he'd be interested in including my car into his fleet. And he says, no, that's probably not a good fit for what he does because of the insurance aspects of it, and just didn't feel like he could get my car covered correctly if there was something to happen. So one of my friends was renting a couple of his vehicles out through a guy in Atlanta. He seemed like he was doing okay with it, so I chose to go over to that gentleman and offer my vehicle for rental, since there wasn't really that many exotics in Atlanta. They were usually renting out like Escalades or Corvettes or Mercedes, everything with big wheels or something like that, but nothing really exotic like what the Lamborghini brand is. So he agreed and signed some paperwork with him, and then within probably a couple weeks, he came up with a person that was interested in renting my vehicle for the weekend. Friday morning, I drove down to the rental office. I dropped my Lamborghini off, signed some additional paperwork stating that I had dropped it off, that it was in excellent condition, and the plan was to come back and pick up the car on Monday. When I called and asked, when I pick my car up, and the guy told me that there was a problem, he almost didn't want to tell me what the problem was. But as soon as he said that, I said, okay, something's wrong. And when he told me that my car was found abandoned and in an accident, I had no clue on how bad it was, but it didn't matter. I was just like, oh man, this is not going to turn out well at all. This is probably the end of the road with this vehicle. Then when I went and seen the vehicle, oh wow, smashed on both ends. We're trying to look at this car. There wasn't even a conversation about if this thing could be repaired. It was like, how are they going to sell this car? Once I found that out, and I hadn't even seen my car yet, I called Ed up, the original person I rented vehicles from, and said, hey, this is what happened to my car. What do I do? Ed had told me that he would help me look into the situation for me to find out as much as I can, and hopefully find my car, because we didn't even know where it was at, being towed to or anything. And eventually Ed had found the car, actually located a lot up in Gainesville. So after contacting Ed and us trying to find out what I'm going to do to get this car either repaired or something, Ed let me know that probably the insurance through the rental company was not going to cover this, and that I needed to be going after the person that rented the car and their insurance. But then, of course, that wasn't going to probably be a good thing either, because their insurance probably wasn't going to cover it. And then my next concern was going to be that the owner of the vehicle now is going to be notified that the vehicle is wrecked, and their insurance may be involved as well. When I did have this accident and I was contacting as many people as involved with the vehicle as well, I did call Premier Financial and let them know that the vehicle had been involved in an accident, and they asked me how I had acquired the car. And not knowing this, what I was doing was not totally good in their eyes, they told me that they had already been alerted when I put insurance on the car a few months ago, prior to having it, having the wreck. So they already knew that I had the vehicle and were already in the process of finding the car without me even knowing. To lose $40,000 was probably my biggest hurt, because when you want to own a vehicle like this, I mean, it's a very new experience for somebody that's never owned an exotic or a car that usually the cost of a brand new regular car is the down payment on a lease for a vehicle. It's unreal, to know that you can lose $40,000 that quick. I recovered some of my money from the deposit of the renter. The owner of the rental place probably, I think, ended up giving me another $7,500, but it still wasn't close to the $40,000 that I lost. And, the experience was not very good. I had no clue about that, and obviously I would never rent another vehicle again like that. I have no idea if the insurance claim was ever paid through the original person that leased the vehicle's insurance company. I think they would ultimately be the one to be responsible, and I hope that they did, because Premier, was a stand-up company for leasing the vehicle out to them, and they're not mad at me about it, but they are mad at the other guy about it, and I can understand that. So, after that experience, I was like, all right, I love driving a Lamborghini. I loved having one. So I eventually ended up going to a Lamborghini dealership and purchasing one legitimately, and enjoyed that car for pretty much almost 4 years. Put over 63,000 miles on the car, and sold it for what amount I felt like was fair. Since then, with advice from Ed, I have went to the dealership and I've bought multiple vehicles from Ed, not just Lamborghini. I bought an Aston Martin from him. I bought a excursion limo from Ed, and which was a great experience. I think I was just going through a midlife crisis at then, but it was still fun. My kids loved it. So no people dream of owning these vehicles. Lamborghinis are in every kid's dreams, and even our older generation, all of us still love Lamborghinis. But my suggestion is, do not try to cut any corners to go own one of these cars. Do it right at a dealership. Companies like Premier out there for people that are legit, that want to do this. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe I even go back to them one day and say, hey, can you finance me a car now that I'm coming to you like this? It's definitely the thing, to look for, is to make sure you're not cutting the corners.
Are you looking to buy your dream car? Premier Financial Services offers the flexibility of financing with the tax benefits of leasing. The PFS Simple Lease offers quick approvals and easy termination when you are ready for the next car. Visit our website and follow us for more.